Hello and welcome. Today I'll be showing a tutorial or explaining a couple of things based around map making tips, object selection, landscape related things, IBL captures. I don't think I can think of too much after that. Um, so I believe the first one I have is object duplication and manipulation. So typically you would Control C, Control V to duplicate a cliff. Actually, I don't want to delete that. Um, oh, I actually do want to delete that. My bad. The other way, no way is wrong. It all works the same. I believe it doesn't take. It's not any faster, any slower. Is you would hold a control. I mean, not control. My bad. Alt, left click, and that'll duplicate um, any cliff you have that you have selected. Multiple cliffs as well. Um, so you could duplicate these two. Hold control for that. I'll duplicate these two. Let's delete those. Work with our original one. The next thing I wanted to move on to is object orientation manipulation. And I will start off by explaining how to switch between your gizmo modes. Gizmo being this little funny thing here that allows you to manipulate things in your viewport instead of in your details panel. So W is your location mode, E is your rotation mode, R is your scale mode. And you can adjust these here, this way, that way, for rotation this way, that way, or to rotation. And then for scale, this way, that way, that way. I'll reset scale. Just go back a little bit, not that far back. And let's go to the way we want to showcase, which will be, once again, WER for location, rotation, and scale. So we will be doing this just with keybinds. Once again, no way, wrong way. Whatever works best and fastest for you. It works for you. Go for it. So we do this keyboard way of manipulating the asset with control. Hold control, left click, right click for the Z axis. Don't know why I start with the Z axis, not the first one. Left click for the X axis, and then right click for the Y axis. Same for rotation. Both left click and right click for the Z axis. Left click for the X axis, and then right click for the Y axis. For rotation, it works not at all the same. Left click, right click, both left click and right click. It only scales the whole object, not individually. I believe that's all I had for that. In terms of asset selection, we'll continue with our rainbow out here in the distance. And select my rainbow, select this river water body. Let's say I'm going over here, manipulating things, playing with collision settings because maybe I had it under no collision. Select it to ground. I pressed some keyboard key. I don't know what the heck I did. It happens in Photoshop. It happens in many other programs. You're completely new. You're lost, and you're trying to learn things. And what in the heck? Now I can't select my water body nor my rainbow. Well, maybe this has happened to you. You've gone through the settings. You figured out a thing. You hit allow translucent selection. Translucent being the shader mode it's in. Translucent, opaque, masked, additive, or modulate. Same thing here. Now we can select our water body. It's a neat feature Unreal has included that makes, I guess, your selector blind, or allows it to, however you want to word it, allows it to select translucent objects. I'm not the best with words, so that's why I kind of jumble them. Apologies. The next one will be continuing key binding settings. Let's say you wanted to take a screenshot of this section right here. Something I figured out, I think, more recent within the past year and a half, taking screenshots of my map, is holding Z or C on your keyboard while right-clicking, I believe, will start to zoom out. And this starts to have a weird fisheye effect where everything starts to, become stretched the more you do it. Obviously, you don't want to overdo it because things will start to look a little funny. Not as intended, so you just Z or C on the keyboard. Another thing is, let's say you're, playing with your landscape, sculpting it around. If you haven't had it already generated in whichever program you decide to use, typically, some people will. I need to really zoom out and pan my camera to the perfect spot so I can continue to sculpt. And if you're streaming either to Discord or Twitch or YouTube, that could be a little disorienting to some viewers. So something I figured out recently is actually on this map I've set up is moving forward, using the E key, using the key to go down. And that works pretty well. I'm pretty sure I leave it at that. So you can more properly adjust your camera without being as disorienting to the proper distance you need, instead of looking down, zooming out, and then zooming into the exact angle you want and need. Another one will be, so that was a keyboard binding. This is a mouse binding. I believe you hold control, or actually, sorry, not control, just W, which if we were to right click W, at W and S, forward, back, left, right, yeah, that's how it works. I'm pretty sure we all know that. Maybe we don't, but so it normally works. Holding W again. Well, one, I believe, just moves you forward. Left click just moves you forward, and then right is just the pan of the camera. And you can, as a third-party one, I believe I learned this through one of the Ragnarok devs that work for Wildcard, and I believe their Unreal build was quite finicky with the camera, and I believe he said it would crash. So he had to start using the camera this way, which was W to move forward or back, and then left click and right click, which will start to move you forward, and then you can also move up or down while moving forward. And then I guess the downside to that is just to pan the camera, you just have to stop. And then, so now that we're here in the snow area, I want to talk about and show, I believe most tutorials starting out, Exolog, the something Donkey, I believe he changed his name, so I don't know if that's even his name anymore. And a friend that showed me is Purely Evolved Gaming. Show you how to add the landscape layers, which that's fine. You'll probably be doing that if you create your own material, which is pretty much what I suggest. I don't suggest you do anything I do. For this project, I did copy over to my maps folder path, the Crystal Isles landscape material, in which ISO was pretty smart. I use this one because it worked for my project. You can probably look into the Extinction one, the Fjorder one, if you want to go for that one. If you're pretty new and don't want to do hours of research, you could use a Genesis one, though I believe Genesis and onward start to use parallax occlusion mapping, PAL materials, and those could be quite expensive, so that part of me wouldn't suggest it. But I went with ISOs because, or the lady that made Crystal Isles, because she was pretty big brain and included a cliff slope mask function. So it automatically applies the cliff. I don't pay any of the cliffs. It just auto calculates the snow slope, not snow slope, excuse me, the cliff slope, and applies a cliff there. allows you to paint anything above. And then ISO, the creator of Crystal Zealous, was actually pretty big brain. I believe what I read on the forum was once that anything, let's say this is Tundra, is always set to true or false. Anything that's set to true will never get compiled. So I believe it. The part of me that doesn't know is I believe it's expensive to include the extra bit of information. But the part I read, I believe what it was saying was when you have a static switch parameter and it'll only go with what it's currently set at, which is false. So it'll only use layer 8, which she just has a grass texture, and nothing else will be compiled. So she was pretty big brain in these two ways, and then the way landscapes to save on a little bit of expense and not adding multiple layers, because let's face it, that takes time. It takes time to compile the material. It's just something a lot of people don't want to play with, especially being brand new and all. So, excuse me, I was a little bit, my mind, something captured my mind. I was distracted. So up here by your paint and sculpt tool in your landscape, go to manage, select this component, and then here I have a duplicate. So you would just create a duplicate instance, open your instance, and then let's open the normal one. Yes, my ground clutter flickers. No clue why. Well, I have materials open. So here in the normal material, ISO had is Tundra not checked. You'll check here. We have Tundra is checked, so there's no layer 8 information. Let's turn that flickering off because that's kind of annoying. And that's how we paint snow. I mean, here, for example, I could even just go to layer 8. Switch this to 3. Change it to an alpha channel. And there, we're painting snow. Quick way of going about things, setting it up quickly. Oh, and that's actually, didn't want to show much of this project. But without thinking about it, I just showed a different tip I was actually might have not been including. So, as mentioned, I don't want to show much of this map. Not really my intention to. I don't. So typically, if you can try this on your own. Hit 1, 2, 3, any of the numbers on your keyboard, and that'll teleport you to a different location on your map. So a neat tip, which I once again found out more recently too, you can do the same thing here, and this pertains to any keybind or key on your keyboard with these matching values. A bookmark for any place in your level, your map, and to change these, you could just go down here to bookmarks, set bookmark or clear bookmark. I often hit Shift 2 for the that's for text painting. Landscape tool or the foliage tool. BSP editing. This is geometry editing. To me, it's BSP. And then to go back, and often when I do that, my Shift key works a little funny. Different key I put in place, so it doesn't always hit Shift properly. I guess I hadn't gone to exactly where I was at. So I would have actually liked to show this off. I'll show it partially, but here, to save a little time, I already duplicated. What I have here is a secondary post-process. Let's move it back into place. My eye's messing with me. Should just be right there. So to do what I'm going to showcase, you actually have to have your current volume selected. Go to the geometry editing tool. By default, it'll be in edit. And as mentioned, you have to have a volume selected, or actually a face here. Go to the extrude option. I hadn't explained splines before, but I had prior in a previous recording. So this will actually work here to create a face or different extend part of the volume, you'll hold Alt on the face you have selected, Alt, and then pull in the direction, and that'll create or extend your volume. We'll go backwards and do that because and Control Alt Z, never a good thing. So let's just do that. Unfortunately, we'll have to duplicate this post process that wasn't messed up. You almost never want to Control Z your volume because, as far as I learned, that starts to break that. Let me start over from saying that. That starts to break the extent of your volume, and you'll start to have some funny effects outside. You'll have possibly be swimming outside of where the volume's at because the extent's broke. So what I'm showing you here is I've already extruded the volume to a custom shape. Let's say I really needed this custom shape. I have a particular lake. It's not a perfect square or rectangle, or I believe if you go to cone, no, not cone builder, it's cylinder builder, in this brush shape setting, you can create a circular shape that matches your lake, a flat circular shape, not a sphere. And as I have done here, I extruded my volume a couple times because in our imaginary lake, we needed this exact shape. And I didn't mention, but I actually learned this from Nicatus, the man that created Valguera and Fjordur. And as soon as my dev kit unfreezes, I have a couple things that will look out for the volumes and check if that location is marked as being a underwater point. So as soon as this freezes, unfreezes, that was actually a little bit faster. So this is a secondary volume. We'll actually come down here. Once again, let imaginary lake. We'll convert this to a physics. And that'll be all. Thank you for watching.